do you need me to?
No, it's like a little clip I do every time to
Okay.
see what's happening. People are like, "What's going on with the clapping?"
All right.
Okay, Rabbi Greg Kanter, thank you for dropping by, man.
Sure. Happy to be here.
Before we get going, just kind of in our conversation, I want to start off with a little hot take for you. You ready for it?
Sure.
Do y'all have potlucks in your synagogue?
I don't think they're regular events,
Okay.
but we have at lots of our meals, members bring stuff
Okay.
from home.
My little hot take is I think I hate potlucks at church. I don't know how you have cooked it. I don't know what's going on at your house. I know only what's going on at my house and how the kids are so messy. Yeah, I am a germaphobe. Are you cool with potlucks?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
And gosh, I feel like I've been doing this so long. I was ordained in 1993.
Oh my goodness.
And doing stuff for years before.
Was there a potluck with that?
With the ordination? No. But I've kind of learned, like, I might leave this dinner a little hungry sometimes.
That's right. I don't want the boiled chicken. In 2026, I am done with boiled chicken. Well, man, thank you for that. So you're a rabbi in town, and you're at the temple. Could you say that for me?
Temple Brith Shalom.
Brith Shalom. I was looking on the website after we had lunch a couple weeks ago. And you are also on the board of the Greater Springfield Interfaith
Association.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And the Springfield Jewish Federation.
And the Springfield Jewish Federation. So I kind of want to touch on those 2 points of you being a rabbi and you being in this interfaith community here in town. And so I'd like to start off this way. If you could just kind of share with me or share with us the story of how you became a rabbi. And I want to put this one caveat. When you're in religious life, there's the long version, and then there's the 10,000-foot version.
Okay.
Go ahead and give us the 10,000-foot version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that longer or shorter than
That's the shorter one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I was encouraged in this direction before I even went to college.
Okay.
And so I did think about it a lot through college, but I had not decided for sure when I graduated.
And where did you go to college?
I went to college at Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois.
Okay.
Not too far from here.
Okay.
And got my bachelor's degree there.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of summers working at Jewish summer camps.
Okay.
The nice thing about that is lots of rabbis cycle through, and that helped me make my decision by seeing other guys in the roles.
The only reason I'm kind of smirking is because I've been watching this show about a rabbi dating a podcaster on Netflix. Yes. Not with us or it's with Seth Cohen, and they went to a Jewish summer rabbi camp.
Everybody talks about it. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I've only watched bits and clips of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's all right. But that helped me sort of make up my mind, and so the summer after I graduated college, I decided, I should apply. So I reached out to the rabbinical school. They said, take this extra year you have, because I think about a little over half of the students go directly from college.
Oh, wow.
I had an extra year because I didn't apply while I was a senior. So they said, get involved in your synagogue at home, enroll in some graduate courses. And I did all those things, and then I was off to rabbinical school. First year was in Jerusalem.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was great. That was a great adventure for me.
Do all rabbis go to Jerusalem to become ordained as rabbis?
Many
do.
I'm a Reform rabbi, so our school has a campus in Jerusalem.
Oh,
So that's where we all do our first year. There's also it sort of coexists with us, but there's an Israeli Reform Rabbinical School
Okay.
that's connected to us. That's part of that, but we didn't cross paths too much with those students. Every once in a while. Then I studied for 4 more years in Cincinnati, Ohio.
okay.
Yeah.
And what was the rabbinical school there?
So it was a historic rabbinical school, been around for years, across the street from the University of Cincinnati.
Wow.
So we shared some programs and facilities with them.
Okay.
It also operated as a graduate school. And
Through the University of Cincinnati?
there were some connections.
Okay.
But they had really kind of their own graduate program.
Okay.
Where people could get PhDs. And all the rabbis earned a master's degree on the way to becoming ordained as rabbis. But there was also a separate just graduate studies for anybody. It was a lot of non-Jewish scholars.
Do you have to have a master's degree to become a rabbi?
Yeah. I mean, when you are ordained, you have earned your master's as well as a part of it. It's part of the program.
That's something that the Christian tradition does not hold, and I wish we did, because I like the idea that anybody can feel that sense of calling. But just like nurses and doctors, it's good to be trained in a tradition, right? And it's good to be trained with people who have gone before you, instead of just like, hey, I got this notion and now I'm going to stand behind the pulpit, or now I'm going to lead a congregation. And
they wanted us to be really well-rounded, regardless of what kind of how we saw ourselves in our career eventually.
Yeah.
They wanted us to have experience working with congregations, academics, all those kinds of things were very important. Even before we entered, the director of admissions advised me, don't major in Jewish studies. You'll get that while you're here. And he said, again, it's part of our wanting you to be very well-rounded.
So what did you major in?
Philosophy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any specific genre in philosophy? Like Russian thought? I don't know.
I liked all of them.
Okay.
I didn't double major, but I liked literature and I liked theater. I liked the existentialists, the pragmatists.
That probably helps you as you read the Hebrew Bible.
I'd like to think so. Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of different genres in the Hebrew Bible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you're in rabbi school, and then where are you going from there? What's your story after that?
So while you're in rabbi school, you're also serving part-time in smaller congregations where you would go for once or twice a month and spend the weekend there and lead services, visit with the people, maybe teach a class, that kind of thing. And then when I was ordained, my first job was in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay.
And then I went to Florida for many years after that.
One of the things I love seminary. It's something that I think is really profitable for students. But I don't know if this is same in your tradition. But sometimes I feel like we need to shake seminary for a little bit, because that sense of self can really grow. It's like, hey, I'm the one knowing all these scriptures, and I'm the one doing all the readings and listen to me. And oftentimes it's like in those smaller congregations, it's like an older lady who just knows her scripture and knows that faith really well, that you kind of have that moment where it's like, oh man, I know it, but you're living it. Right. I don't know if you've ever had that or not.
Yeah, I think it's a little different probably in the Jewish tradition. I think probably a lot of Jewish scholars, especially Reformed Jewish scholars, are maybe envious of the Christians who have memorized chapter and verse so well.
Okay.
We certainly get into it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we have quite the recollection for it as.
Okay. I want to have you lift up your mic so people can hear that wonderful voice of yours.
Okay,
But
great.
secondly, to follow up on that, that's one thing that I really have done in this chapter of ministry is interiorize the scripture, where before I preach, I try to memorize it, but try to just like wrestle with it in my soul, and then offer that as the introduction for the sermon. Because oftentimes it's like, what's the first sentence? What's the first hook? And there's nothing more. I've found that it is so powerful just to offer back the scripture, and to know that, and for your congregation, your synagogue, to know that you have wrestled with it. It is just like this tangible way to say, I'm taking this word seriously, and it has dived deep in my heart this week. So, yeah.
I definitely do that when I'm giving a sermon. I want to connect it to, we have a Torah portion for each week, for each Sabbath, and then the week. And so I try to look at that and make at least some connection.
Yeah.
Or if it's just a little connection or a real big connection, and make it the theme of my sermon. And then I also look at what other Jewish scholars throughout history have also said about the Torah portion that we're reading.
What are the commentaries for the Torah for the that you kind of reference every week, right?
Sure.
What are those called again?
So there's the Talmud, which is the biggest of all of them, and that's really a compilation of many, many scholars having comments about that part of the Torah.
Okay.
And sometimes they agree, sometimes they disagree. Some of them have lived centuries apart from each other.
Okay.
But they're all on a page together. So it sort of looks like they're sitting around a table and having a discussion. And that's interesting too.
Oh, yeah. To see that dynamic and that tension.
Sure.
For people to understand scripture in different ways.
Yeah, and the later ones will refer to the earlier ones, and sometimes they'll say, well, he was wrong, and this is the correct answer, and that's always interesting. And sometimes they agree and expound on it. Sometimes they just quote it.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Is there like a date where the Talmud stopped, or is that still being annotated by modern scholars?
So the Talmud is stopped.
Okay.
But there's always new Jewish scholarship coming out.
Yeah.
For especially, I'm not an Orthodox Jew. I'm a Reformed Jew.
Yeah, you said that. I don't know what the difference is.
Reform is much more modern and progressive. It came much, much later.
Okay.
I think there weren't really movements in Judaism. There was just Judaism. And might have been practiced a little differently in different parts of the world because of cultural influences.
Right.
But it was fairly strict in observance. But in more recently, Jews started to say things like, and they would go to their rabbis and their boards, and they would say things, we want to sit together with our families, because in an Orthodox setting, men and women sit separately. But
Still to this day?
Yes, still to this day. But Reformed Jews said, we'd like to sit with our families.
Yeah.
They said things, these were radical things at the time, but they said things like, we'd like to hear the sermon in English, so we can understand, because it was given in Hebrew or Yiddish or other more traditional Jewish languages from the immigrants that came over. And when they became Americans, they said, if I'm going to bring my family here, we need to understand a little more of what's happening.
Absolutely.
It's traditional in Orthodox synagogues that musical instruments aren't played on the Sabbath. So there's no organ. But another thing of Jews settling here and assimilating, they saw that their neighbors had organ music, and they said, we'd like that in our service. Again, a very radical sort of suggestion at the time, but now, of course, it's quite normalized in the Reform movement.
Are there like contemporary in the Reform movement? Are there like contemporary bands, or is it organ still kind of the part and parcel?
Yeah, I'm not so much bands as individual musicians who write and perform their music. And they may have their own sort of backup group that if they are popular enough to tour or record. But we know a lot of those musicians more because they're individual recording artists.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you lead a congregation, a synagogue? This is just kind of from my own heart to another faith leader's heart. How do you lead a synagogue without your family being burnt out by the synagogue and or the rhythm that God has called you to? I have not figured that out, by the way.
So yeah, it's very challenging.
It is. I'm a verbal processor, as you can probably tell, and I have really. That's a lament I hold, is that I verbal process things that go on at the church with my wife, and I almost wonder if at times I have that rhythm has jaded her spirituality, and so just your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have a slightly different approach, especially now since my kids are teens.
Okay.
I first of all, I don't make them come every Friday. Friday's our big service.
Okay.
But we have dinners once a month, so I recommend and encourage them to come to the dinners.
Okay.
And they're pretty good about that.
Are those called feasts?
Nope, just
Okay.
Shabbat dinners.
Okay.
Shabbat is our word for Sabbath.
Okay.
And so once a month, we get together for a dinner. And I tell the family, hey, this one's a dinner. That'd be a good time to come. And I try to make sure it's on their calendar early enough so they can plan around it and so forth. And that works out.
Okay.
That works out.
So y'all found a rhythm that works for your family.
Yeah, and if there's other things I think they might like, I'd say, hey, this is happening. You might like it. You want to come with me? And
so holding your family with an open hand as you accept the call to lead your synagogue. Yeah. It's interesting. We had an atheist come and sit here in that very chair, and one of the questions was, like, would you make your kids go to church? And my answer was, I can't force I can't force my faith on them. And I want them to have our faith, but I think anytime you start to push it down somebody's throat, it never ends well.
Right.
Yeah.
And, there's so many people who went away from it when they were young, but then came back to it. And so, I hope my kids find a path to always wanting it to be a part of their lives. And I'm here to help support that. And of course, I've got more to offer than the average person because of what I do. But I don't always, I rarely really require them to go.
Can you identify as Jewish but not believe in God?
You can. In fact, I taught about that at a luncheon this weekend.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a group within Reform Judaism called the Responsa Committee. When anyone has a question that doesn't seem to be answered by most of the traditional sources, they bring it to the Responsa Committee. And the question was, I've got a student, this is a rabbi who said, I've got a student who's studying, wants to become Jewish, loves the history, loves being at services, loves the music, loves the togetherness, does not believe in God.
Okay.
Believes in science and nature, but not God. And said, can I convert this person to Judaism? And this was a response from a few decades ago.
Okay.
And they said no.
Oh.
But the committee also, their word isn't binding, by the way. So I'm not stuck to, but I would tell people I'm working with who felt the same way,
Okay.
hey, this came up, but I would still convert them if they were committed in every other way to being a part of the faith.
Because from my very limited understanding, Judaism is both a ethnic identifier and also a religious identifier. Or is that, or am I off on that?
Well, there's ethnic or sort of a
Maybe
nationality.
cultural might be better, yeah.
There's cultural,
Yeah.
because we come from all over the world.
Yeah.
But we also identify with Israel as sort of a nationality.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of ways to identify as Jewish, and it is totally possible to be Jewish and not believe in God. So there's the response doesn't say anything about the tons of Jews who say, yes, I'm Jewish, I don't believe in God, but have come from generations of Jews. It just says about someone who's converting to Judaism. So, but and by the way, I always say that everybody in the pews, when I'm preaching, has a different idea of God. It may be similar, but
so true.
Each person has their own idea.
That is so true, and their image and their expectation of God is, and working with them and myself, as we all journey towards God. Yeah, that's a wonderful burden, I think, that pastors and rabbis hold.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm here for that. I see.
Yeah.
You find God in your way. And I do in my way.
Yeah. One of my good friends growing up, probably my best friend growing up, was Jewish, and the memory, like a core memory I have, is we were in a drive-through line, and my family didn't go to church. We weren't Christians. We didn't know anything. We really did not know anything, but somehow we got on this conversation where we said, I was like, dude, Jesus was a Christian, man. He wasn't a Jew. And like Adam was like, no, man, you're not understanding. Jesus was Jewish. He was not a Christian. And my mom probably didn't know anything at the time because we weren't in church. And I think she said, yeah, he was Jewish. But that's like a core memory I have of this historical understanding of Judaism and Christianity. And but I say all of that to say, what would you say is one thing Christians maybe don't? Let me phrase this correctly.
Sure.
I want to say, like, what's one thing you notice that you would want to speak to the Christian community about Judaism?
Gosh, I don't know if there would be just one thing.
Okay.
But among my top things, one, I want people to know that anti-Semitism is really bad right now. It's the worst it's ever been during my lifetime.
Really?
Yeah. And that's true here in the United States and around the world. We hear it on the news regularly, happening all over the world. You and I talked earlier about Bondi Beach and Hanukkah. And that's tough for Jews and Judaism, because that means that Jews think twice before they attend a Jewish event. That means that Jews organizing those Jewish events have to really plan for the safety of everybody who attends, and there's a cost to that. I mean, a monetary cost, not to mention the psychological cost on the minds of people, which can, interfere with a spiritual moment. So that's really hard for us, and so we look for allies.
Okay.
That's what I want people to know is we need more allies. We need people to be talking about it in their organizations and telling people to be our friends. And if you've never been in a synagogue before, you got to go in. I welcome people to come visit our synagogue. I want them to call first and talk to me, and then I want to arrange for them to attend a service. I think just seeing a service so you can dispel all the myths that are in your head about what happens during one of our worship services can change hearts and minds. And if we're ever going to do something about anti-Semitism, it's going to be through changing hearts and minds.
What scriptures do you go to? Because it sounds like it's a very, it's a prevalent topic in the global Jewish community, from what I'm hearing from you. What scriptures do you interact with as you converse with this topic? Like, would you go to the prophets? Are you going to, I don't know.
Well,
that's a very nuanced question, by the way. So for probably just our congregations would like to hear this.
Sure. So there's love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay.
Which I have in Hebrew woven into the tallis that I wear, the prayer shawl that I wear when I lead services.
Okay.
And then there's a Jewish sort of spin on that. Of course, I think every religion has some spin on that.
Yeah.
But the Jewish spin on it is, what is hateful to you, do not do unto others.
Ooh.
And I think that's a message for Jews and for non-Jews.
That's in the Hebrew Bible?
No, that's from a Jewish a scholar's interpretation.
What is hateful to you,
do not do to others.
Ooh, I like that.
So
if I Google that will come up to wherever the source is?
It should.
Interesting.
It should.
I'm definitely
doing that. Got to be careful with Google because, it's not always accurate on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you're, checking and double checking your sources. You can find it.
Well, what do you use to what's your search engine?
Well, I use a few different sources.
Okay.
But if I do use Google, I even sometimes now go to AI to get a little help and support on things. But if I use them, I try to double check. And make sure.
A little triangulation.
They can come up with Google and especially AI, as we've heard about in the development of it. They can come up with some crazy stuff. And so you got to really check your sources.
Do you use AI as you develop your sermons? I do. So let me preface it. I don't have it write everything, but it's like if there's a point and I'm trying to connect it to another point, I'll throw that in and say, is there something? Is there a link here? That's my phrase. Is there a link between these two?
Yeah.
And it's not. I would say it's a very marginal part of the sermon, but I still use it for it.
So I'll try to get as much as I can out of my own head. Then use some sources. I got a pretty good Jewish library in my study, and then sometimes I'll run it through AI and say, "Hey, what do you think?" And I've learned actually from colleagues, you can take what you've got, give it to AI, and say, "Hey, I'm looking to make this more personal or more academic or whatever," and AI can help you with all those things. You still have to check double check and on your sources, but it can be a good help in helping you get it all to come together.
I agree, and I think it's almost malpractice if you just say, this is the text, write a sermon. And I think that would be religious malpractice for us to do that. But that's my own two thoughts. I think it's a great tool, but when you rely on it 90% versus the 10%, I think that's malpractice.
Definitely. I want to have me in there and my heart and mind. And I want congregants who hear me give a sermon to say, I learned something about you, and that makes me feel good about your message. That's my foundation.
Man, people love those personal stories. You can
Right.
exposition all the text and do some exposition jiu-jitsu on it, but it's the personal stories that land.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So switching now to downtown, because your temple is downtown, just stone's throw from our church. And you've been here for what, 2 years now?
Just going on 2
years.
Yeah.
What's it like for you ministering downtown? I say that with the preface of I hold this notion to be true. I don't think our downtown is flourishing. And so what's it like for our Jewish brothers and sisters to minister downtown?
Well, I totally jive with it. It's
Yeah.
not, I don't find it to be an obstacle. Springfield, even with greater Springfield,
Yeah.
is a small place.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to drive far to get to the temple or from the temple to another location.
Right.
You and I are a few blocks apart from each other.
Okay.
If it wasn't 5 degrees out, I could have walked
That's
today.
right.
But it is a shame that downtown isn't stronger, and I look forward to whatever we can do to build our
It's
downtown.
interesting. I've had a few people on the podcast and give some answers, and some have been some really wonderful thoughts. Like one would be adding more art to downtown and beautifying the land, and I thought that was a really great answer. Another was like, hey, we still have like outdated pipes. Like, why can we not update some of the infrastructure? I think for myself, I would say, why do we have just like really one main grocery store downtown, but a lot of liquor stores?
Right.
So there's some systematic thoughts about it. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it's going to take a multifaceted approach
agree.
to grow Springfield and grow downtown. I think, it'd be great to have, like Springfield used to have, a large core businesses.
Yeah.
So we could have people in those homes
Yeah.
who would nurture more businesses, more grocery stores, things like that. It would be great to have a stronger approach to some of the urban problems that the city deals with.
Yeah.
You
How
know,
do you hold hospitality of a congregation with some of those urban dynamics of a city, particularly transient community?
Yeah.
That's been thankfully, our former pastor is doing some really great work in the city, but that's been a dynamic that I'm still processing.
Yeah, well, I like to get involved in the interfaith work.
Yeah.
This is part of it.
Absolutely.
Our interview,
Absolutely.
right? I'm on the board of the Greater Springfield Interfaith Association. I'm in other interfaith organizations. I love invitations to just sit down and have coffee and maybe talk about maybe someday a pulpit exchange
Yeah.
or something like that. And I think, meeting our neighbors really helps, and getting to know each other, can, as I said earlier, sort of demystify some of the myths we all hold about each other in our
Yeah.
heads, and help us just sort of let our guards down a little, trust each other more,
Yeah.
and grow.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a pressing thought for our congregation as the dynamics shift, and we see a lot of businesses shut down, and that's a deep prayer for our community for sure. But
It's happened here too, and there were a lot of Jewish businesses in downtown
were there?
Springfield.
Okay.
Yeah, and now they've spread out a little more.
Yeah.
But we also have an advantage in that people love our historic building. They feel
Yeah.
really attached
Yeah.
to the historic building. Many of them grew up there, were married there, and so they feel drawn to it, and that's really nice. And again, Springfield's kind of a small place, so it's never too long a drive.
Yeah. It's really only 15 minutes, really max, to get anywhere in the city, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe when it's maybe when there's some traffic, but it's really a 15-minute commute anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when there's traffic, everything's still moving along pretty well. And,
Yeah.
You know, short of a major accident on the highway, things move around here. So, yeah.
Well, man, before we end, kind of a question I like to throw out there at the end is, 10 years ago, what are you defining as success? Today, what are you defining as success?
Oh, gosh. That's a great question. Well, you know, I'm a family man too. I have kids and I care about them. So I measure some of my success in their success.
Ooh.
And I want them to succeed and get out there on their own and find their way in the world.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't look exactly like my path, I'm here for it. And also, if I can keep my congregation thriving and maybe even growing, which so far we've been able to do, that would be outstanding.
Kudos. What would you say success was 10 years ago for you?
10 years ago, my kids were much younger, but I had similar wishes and dreams and hopes for my kids, I don't know. I might have seen myself in a larger community 10 years ago.
Okay.
But I'm really comfortable in this smaller but deeply devoted, wonderful community here in Springfield.
I love it. I love it. Well, man, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Boom. You did good, bro.
Thanks.
You did good. I liked it.
Thanks.
Thanks for dropping by and